Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be going deep on something that I think is pretty interesting. How to turn those people who just visit your website into people who actually buy stuff from you.
Yeah, the holy grail of like sales and marketing.
Exactly. So we're going to be taking a look at this company, Zebek Communications. They're based in India, and they've got this platform. It's called Xtrack, and we're going to be using their website as our source today. They've got a ton of info about their services and all that good stuff.
Well, and it's fascinating because it's not just like they're just building websites. They're building them with a marketing uh, outlook is how they describe it. And
Mhm.
they're actually a Google Premium partner, so they kind of have the seal of approval from the big search engine themselves.
Yeah, so that definitely adds some credibility.
Yeah.
But having a nice website is only part of the battle. So how are they kind of connecting the dots between getting people interested and getting them to actually buy something?
Well, that's where Xtract comes in. It's kind of like, the ultimate sales machine. They describe it as a single window platform and a complete sales stack solution.
Okay, wait. Hold on a second. For those of us who maybe aren't super familiar with, you know, the tech jargon, break down this whole sales stack thing for us.
Sure, yeah. Imagine you're trying to build a house. You're not going to use a hammer for every job, right? You need all these different tools for all these different tasks. It's the same with sales. You need tools to find leads and tools to manage those leads, tools to communicate with them, and tools to close those deals. And a sales stack is just that. It's a collection of all those tools working together.
So it's kind of like instead of having all these different tools all over the place, Extract brings it all together under one roof.
Exactly.
That's pretty compelling.
Yeah, and Zbeck, they really emphasize this visual of a single window. They use a slideshow on their website with bold text to really drive the point home. You've got real-time results, monitoring, and lead conversion and engagement all right there.
All right, well, I'm sold on the idea. But let's get into like the nitty-gritty. What are some of the features that they have within Extract?
So it all starts with how they develop websites. They're not just building pretty websites, they're building websites to capture leads. And then there's the SEO optimization. Making sure your website actually shows up in search results. They target 15 keywords, which is, a good starting point for any business.
So you're not just attracting any visitors, you're attracting the right visitors. So what happens next?
Well, now we get to the heart of it, the CRM. This is like the brain of your entire sales process. Think of it like a digital Rolodex, but supercharged. It helps you manage all your leads. You've got dashboard views for easy monitoring and lead allocation to make sure everyone's on the same page. There are alerts to let you know when it's time to take action and appointment scheduling to keep things running smoothly. And then, of course, they have integration with WhatsApp for direct communication.
Okay, so it sounds really comprehensive.
Yeah.
Um, but do you have to buy into the whole thing? Or can you just pick and choose what you need?
That's a good question, and it seems like Zebek understands that not all businesses are the same. They actually say on their website that you can choose just the parts you need, just the website, just the CRM, or the whole thing.
Oh, so you just kind of build your own sales stack. I like
Mhm.
that. So what about the CRM itself? What makes it stand out from all the other CRMs out there?
Well, a couple of things. First, it's very customizable. They can adjust it to fit whatever your business needs are. And second, they charge a flat monthly fee, no matter how many users you have, which is pretty rare. Most CRMs charge per user, which can get pretty expensive.
Yeah, that's a huge advantage for businesses. So it seems like they're trying to be really affordable, but it's not just about the technology itself. What about their approach to working with clients?
Well, it seems like they're very consultative. They want to understand the business, their challenges, what their goals are, before they even start talking about
So
solutions.
it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
No, definitely not. And they're very focused on results and their expertise.
Yeah, sure, but talk is cheap. Do they have anything to show that it actually works?
They do. They've got this whole section on their website of success stories, and some of them are pretty impressive. They've worked with India's largest furniture mall, a hair transplant studio, all sorts of businesses.
That's a pretty diverse portfolio. It seems like they can work with all kinds of industries.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
they're all about connecting marketing and sales to get results. Speaking of that, I noticed they've got a pretty detailed FAQ on their site about how a CRM can help bridge that gap between marketing and sales. What are some of the things they talk about there?
So they break it down into like 6 key areas: lead management, personalized communication, automation, alignment, and collaboration.
Mm.
Analytics and customer retention. It's a pretty deep dive.
Yeah, we don't really have time to go into all that. But it
Hmm.
sounds like it could be really valuable for our listeners to go check it out. It's right there on their website. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, definitely go take a look at that.
Yeah.
So before we go any further, let's take a step back for a second. Does a platform like Xtrack, does this represent the future of sales? I mean, it's pretty wild to think about, right?
It is. It is the idea that you can automate so much of the sales process. It's a big change.
It's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that in just a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how much time your sales team could save if you could automate like all those tedious tasks.
Right. They could focus more on actually building those relationships and closing deals.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But here's something I'm wondering about. Doesn't all this automation come at a cost? Like, don't you risk losing that personal touch?
Yeah.
You know, the one that's so important for building trust.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? It's not just about implementing a platform like this, but using it in the right way. Technology should be helping us, not replacing us.
Okay, so then how do you find that balance between, you know, the efficiency of automation and the human element of sales?
Well, think about it this way. CRMs are great at collecting data and automating those routine tasks, but they can't, understand the nuances of human conversation. They can't pick up on like a client's concerns that maybe they're not saying out loud. That's where people come in.
So it's about using technology to empower salespeople, not replace them.
Exactly.
And I think Seabeck kind of understands that. Remember how we were talking about their consultative approach?
Yeah, it's more than just selling software. They're really trying to help businesses integrate it into their process in a way that actually improves those human interactions.
Yeah, it's almost like a partnership between the technology and the salesperson.
Right. So going back to the future of sales,
Right.
do you think these platforms like Xtrack are where we're headed?
I'm really not sure. I mean, data is obviously really important these days. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, we are living in a world where we're just constantly creating more and more data, and these platforms offer a really powerful way to use that data. So I think it's pretty safe to say they're going to get even more advanced as technology continues to develop.
Okay, but that raises another question. What does all this mean for the salespeople themselves? Are their jobs in danger of becoming like obsolete?
I actually don't think so. If anything, I think their role might become even more important. As all those basic tasks get taken over by technology, salespeople will be able to focus on what they do best, like building relationships and being an expert for their clients.
So instead of replacing salespeople, these platforms could actually make them more effective.
Exactly. It's kind of a shift from transactional selling to consultative selling, and that requires a whole different set of skills.
Okay, so what kind of skills are we talking about? What's the salesperson of the future going to look like?
Well, they're going to have to be really adaptable and comfortable working with technology, but they'll also need like strong emotional intelligence, the ability to really connect with people. They'll need to be great communicators and negotiators and problem solvers. Basically, they're going to need to be more like trusted advisors than traditional salespeople.
Yeah, so it's not just about closing deals. It's about being a resource for your clients.
Exactly. And I think that's when you really see the magic happen, when technology and human expertise work together.
It's interesting. Technology is automating things, but it's also demanding that we be more human-centric.
Hmm.
I wonder what this means for businesses that are trying to keep up with all of this.
Yeah, it definitely brings up a lot of questions. How do you implement a platform like this in the right way? How do you, train your team to adapt? And how do you make sure you're not, losing that human touch?
These are all really important questions. It seems like finding that balance is going to be really crucial. So for our listeners, what's the one thing that's really stood out to you from all of this?
It's been quite a journey, just understanding what a sales stack is and how Xtrack is building this tool and their whole approach and seeing how they've helped all these businesses.
Yeah, it's given us a lot to think about. But I think it comes down to this. Is a platform like Xtrack the future of sales?
Yeah. Yeah, it really does feel like we're at some kind of like crossroads. On the one hand, we have this promise of automation and more efficiency, but then on the other hand, there's that human connection that's so important.
It's like a tug of war between like your head and your heart, right?
Yeah, and there's no easy answer.
Right. Maybe it's not about picking one or the other, but but finding a way for them to kind of work together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I think that's what Eggbake is trying to do with Xtrack. They're not saying technology is going to replace salespeople, but that it can actually help them be even better at their jobs.
Right. Give them the tools they need to do things better.
And they're doing it in a way that's affordable for all kinds of business. You remember that flat monthly fee?
Yeah, that's huge for a lot of companies.
And the fact that they're all about customizing it. They really want to make sure it's a good fit.
And you can see that in all their success stories.
They've worked with companies in so many different industries.
It really shows how adaptable their approach is.
It's pretty impressive.
It is. It shows they really get how marketing and sales have to work together.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, I'm feeling kind of like optimistic. Maybe the future of sales isn't as scary as some people think.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not about humans versus machines, but humans and machines working together.
I like that. Like a future where technology helps salespeople reach their full potential, where data and creativity and human interaction all kind of come together.
A future where the art of selling is improved by the science of technology.
Well said.
So for our listeners out there,
Yeah.
how do you see the future of sales?
Do you think it'll be all about automation?
Or will that human touch always be the most important thing? Maybe it's somewhere in between, a world where technology and people work together to create a better, more human experience for everyone.
Yeah, something to think about for sure.
Well, thank you all for joining us on this deep dive. It's been really interesting to explore all this stuff about sales stacks and CRMs and how marketing and sales are changing. We hope you learned something new today and maybe got some ideas for your own business. Until next time, keep exploring and keep those sales coming in.